Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. This is Gaming with Salt. How are you guys doing today? So today's kind of a special day. It's been officially 1 year since Lost Records Blooming Rage has dropped, and I still can't believe I almost scrolled past it. I remember the exact night I found it. I was just chilling, randomly scrolling through the PlayStation Store, not looking for anything specific, not hunting for some huge release, just one of those late night scroll sessions when you're bored, hopefully something catches your eye. And then this game pops up. The cover art, the colors, and that camcorder aesthetic, it just stopped me mid-scroll. I didn't even know much about it yet. I didn't even know how emotional it would get. I didn't know it was also going to turn into a whole series on the channel. But something about it felt different. So I watched the trailer, sat there for a second, and I remember thinking, yeah, I definitely need to play this game. And that random decision on a PlayStation Store turned into one of my most personal playthroughs I've done. And if I scrolled maybe 2 seconds faster, we probably wouldn't have experienced this story together. And now here we are, a year later. So today, I just want to celebrate it. No spoilers, just Bloom, Rage, my choices, my reactions, and this is why this game has stuck with me. Now let's start with tape number 1, Bloom. Bloom feels like the summer that doesn't realize it's important yet. It's slow but in a good way. You're just now getting to know the girls, the town, and the energy of 1995. Nothing feels rushed, and I remember when I first started playing, I thought it was just going to be a kind of like chill, nostalgic, kind of cool aesthetic with a nice soundtrack and good vibes. But then the conversation started getting real. The dialogue felt natural, sometimes even awkward, and sometimes quiet. There were moments where nothing huge was happening, but emotionally, a lot was happening. That's when I stopped trying to play the game right. I started choosing options based on an instinct, based on what I would actually say. Sometimes that meant picking the softer response, sometimes it meant staying quiet, and sometimes I picked something and immediately thought, why did I say that? Not because something exploded, but because it felt real. Bloom builds slowly and it earns your attachment, and before you realize it, you care about these characters way more than you expected. Some of my favorite moments in tape 1 is definitely the girls meeting for the first time, seeing Kat go off like a firework defending Swan. Nora is kind of like the troublemaker that is really funny, soft and shy on the inside. Autumn is really charismatic, bold, and is very honest. And I think my most memorable moment is when Nora and Kat act out Dylan and Corey being a couple. And I just thought that was the funniest thing I've seen in a while. Especially them being teenagers, them being cringe. It made it so like realistic, and it's funny because a lot of people do act like this, and I just had to include it in here. It was very funny. You could tell the actors had a very good very good time with this.
Sorry. It's just, should I hump her? So weird.
And then you get to tape number 2, Rage, and you feel the shift. It's the same game at its core, same characters, same emotional style, but the way it increases, choices start feeling heavier, conversations feel sharper. There's more tension underneath the surface. I remember going into Rage thinking I understood the dynamic, and then suddenly I was second guessing myself. There were moments during my playthrough where I just stopped talking, not because I didn't have anything to say, but because I was actually thinking, like really thinking. Do I want to respond this way? Is this going to change something? Is this honest? Rage doesn't replace Bloom, it reframes it. It makes you look back at everything you experienced before with a different lens. If Bloom is about building connection, Rage is about what that connection can survive. Looking back at my gameplay a year later, what I appreciate the most is I didn't try to control the outcome. I didn't look up guides. I didn't try to get the perfect route. I just followed my gut. And sometimes my gut hesitated. There were scenes where I laughed because something felt too familiar. There were moments where I went quiet because it reminded me of real life friendships, old summers, people you don't talk to as much anymore, but you still think about sometimes. This game doesn't force emotion, it unlocks it. And playing it with y'all made it even more meaningful. Seeing your comments about making completely different choices or reacting the same way I did, it felt as if we were all comparing memories afterwards. A year later, I just don't remember what happened in the story. I remember how I felt sitting there with the controller in my hand. And since it's a 1-year anniversary, the game is actually on sale right now, which honestly feels like the perfect time. If you've been watching this series but never played it yourself, this is probably the best moment to jump in. Because watching someone else make choices is cool, but making your own, that hits differently. The hesitation feels heavier, the emotional moments land harder, and you start questioning yourself in ways you don't expect. And just for clarification, I am not sponsored by any means, not at all, but hopefully in the future or one day, maybe Don't Nod will sponsor me. Let's see what happens. Don't Nod, please sponsor me. I love the game so much. And with that being said, happy birthday to Lost Records Bloom and Rage. It's rare for a game to feel quiet and powerful at the same time. Rare for something to stay with you without constantly trying to impress you. But this one did that for me. It all just started with a random scroll on the PlayStation Store, and somehow turned into one of my most personal series on the channel. That's actually kind of wild thinking about it. And if you guys played the game, tell me in the comments what choices you guys made. Did you guys handle it the same way I did, or completely different? And if you experienced the story with me when it first dropped, I appreciate you guys so much. And I'll be hopefully dropping a new video. Just keep a lookout for it, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Have an awesome day.